Hey, you guys asked and I'm now delivering. It's time for the Sister Wives Rewatch. Let's go season 1 right now. Hey everyone, welcome back to Red Lipstick Reality TV. If you're new here, hey, welcome you guys. We talk about everything Sister Wives here, also the Golden Bachelor and more. So if you think you want to come back and speak with us, have fun talking about all this content, hit the subscribe button and make sure you turn on your notifications because sometimes I do go live. If you're coming back, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Man, y'all, you asked. You said, Anna, do the rewatch. And baby, I've gotten pages of notes because now that we've been watching up at our season 18 and just seeing the breakdown of this family, going back and watching the episodes from the beginning, I recommend you all do this. It is crazy to watch this show back now that we're seeing what's happening and we're getting all these revelations. So I did episode 1, season 1, episode 1. This is where we're getting introduced to the family, you guys. Let me tell you about my notes. I'm gonna look over my notes. If you see a different background, you guys know I travel a ton for work. I'm out of town, so you guys will be able to see tons of different backgrounds anytime I'm out of town for work. But I think it's kind of fun to mix it up and just bring you guys basically with me when I'm going out of town. So without further ado, you guys, this episode basically starts out with Cody introducing himself as a polygamist, and then saying he's going to go introduce us to his wives. It's where we talk about love being multiplied, not divided. And that's kind of contradictory of a statement considering you're taking your love and splitting it amongst 3 women. And at that time, 12 children, but okay. Multiplied, not divided, as he says. So I will say, you guys, I'm going to be a little bit more like fluid with this instead of doing it by segments, because I think it's just a lot more fun that way, because a lot of us have seen these episodes. A ton of you guys are OGs. You know what happened in these episodes. If you haven't seen these episodes, I want you to actually go back and watch it, but I'm really going to just talk about more so some of the things that really stood out to me that I wanted to compare to things that have been said and highlighted and kind of countered in these more recent episodes. I think that's really why I'm doing the rewatch, because I wanted to go back and kind of see where I'm seeing some clinks in the system. Because they had this one big house, you guys, in Lehigh, it obviously was so much easier for Cody to be present. Even though he wasn't the most present dad, he was able to be significantly more present in these children's lives because they were in that one home, and he was able to travel from house to house or a little apartment to apartment really seamlessly. So every wife basically got to see him in the morning. Every wife got to see him at nighttime. So even though he might not be sleeping with you every night, I think some of the stress of missing somebody, it's like you miss them, but not as much when you at least got to lay eyes on him on the day and your children got to, and your children get to interact with him. That's completely different than him going to a completely separate house down the street, and you may not see that man for a day or 2 or more. That's not the same. And I don't know how they thought that this was going to work. Like bringing in another wife, knowing for sure there's no way she was going to be able to fit into that home. I do not understand how they thought this was not going to completely ruin everything that they have built. Just by that alone, knowing that you would not see this man every day, you would not see her husband every day. I just don't think Janelle cared, and because maybe Janelle was a bigger breadwinner, she got more of maybe a say, or I don't know. Or maybe she was more on Cody's side with it because it didn't really bother her. But for wives like Christina and Mary, they need to at least see you. And this man was not even seeing his wives every day once they split apart. So I just, man, it was like you just could see the writing on the wall with that. Also, you guys, so when they're introducing the home, once again, Mary has multiple rooms and one child. Because when Cody goes into her place, he goes, well, this is Mary's place. All her rooms are back there, plural. I'm pretty sure Mary even had like a sewing room or something. Then when you look at Christine and Janelle's places, they were really short on space. They did not have enough space. And I'm thinking, if you guys were this like big family, why was it that you didn't take either 2 of the little girls or 2 of the little boys and put them in Mary's side. Like, I feel like Gwendolyn and Isabel could have easily had a room in Mary's house. Took those two so you could spread out these other kids and give like them some space. That's how I know that you guys were you were only a one working family to an extent. Like there's always something that keeps you separate. And in this instance, I would just think that Mary would be like, you guys, I have the space. I love your girls too. I want to take care of your girls too. Why would they not be living upstairs with Mary? I don't know. I thought that was really weird. Or at least one of the older girls, like, why wasn't Maddie rooming with Mariah? You know, like, why does Mariah get her own room? So there was like those disparities. Sorry, not Mariah, Leon. At that point, it was Mariah. But why does Leon get their own room and all these other kids have to share the rooms? So you could see how that could cause some friction even in between the siblings when everybody's not equal because of how many kids your mom had. And I'll talk more about that, how I think that really impacts relationships and things like that, and maybe even like their identity and how they see the world now, with the disparity with responsibilities and what kids received, right? So that's just something that kind of stood out to me. Also, Cody basically talks about how his dad, didn't start practicing the religion until this man was out the house. So at no point had Cody had to live in the same home with multiple women sharing a husband. He's never even had to see his dad really navigate that relationship from a kid's perspective. He's never had to see what it would be like to have a dad that was not present because they had multiple wives. He never got to see that. So I now, when you're looking at this situation, I think it would be completely different. I think even Cody would handle it differently if he had been a child that grew up in polygamy and he had a father that was not at all present, right? Or even that, at least he would have seen what it should look like or what it should not look like when you are a plural husband. And I think we're starting to really see how somebody not raised in the religion, especially the man not being raised in the religion, the impact it really has on making these things work all the way around. And I think had they got somebody that was raised in the religion, like I think about Brady from My Five Wives, he was raised in the religion, right? Like his dad became a polygamist, and then he actually had some like young kid teenager time in the religion, and then he decided to also become a polygamist. So I feel like because he actually saw his dad really navigate having plural wives, I almost feel like he learned how to do it better. I don't know. You guys have to tell me what you think about that. Do you think that makes a difference? Like if the man was raised in it, do you think that they approach it differently? And do you think they would make better plural husbands? I don't know. I'm kind of curious now that I'm looking back on this. It's interesting to me as well, you guys, that Janelle is pushing education on her children and independence on her, and especially on her daughters. And I find it funny, like with Janelle looking back on this, is we pretty much all know that this fundamentalist type of religion, they don't really push women to get, number one, educated or to be independent, right? Like the man is looked at as like the top of the household and making all the decisions, which would totally negate a woman thinking that she could be independent. So to me, Janelle was kind of coming into this situation with a completely different idea of what plural marriage is all about. In her brain, she's thinking, oh, this will give me a chance to have kids but not be responsible for taking care of them physically all the time, right? To have a husband but not have to take care of him or connect with him full time. And I can go off and chase my dreams and goals. And I could, basically she had an I can have my cake and eat it too attitude. Now, although she did get that, it came at the expense of her children. And this is when I've talked about, if you guys have not checked out my video about the parentification of these children, check out up above. But this is where we actually see Janelle gets up really early in the morning to go to work. Cody's coming from one of the other wives' house. All he does is say good morning to her and bounces, y'all. He does not stay to take care of getting these kids up. So Janelle leaves. Cody, see you later. And now Logan has to get up early before he goes to school to not only cook breakfast, but get all his younger siblings ready for school. And then Janelle has the audacity to say, oh, I'm a little worried about Logan. He seems a little wound tight. Do you think? Of course he's wound tight. He's taking, he has the responsibilities of an adult. And Cody was able to, everybody was able to just let it go. Nobody's looking at this situation and saying, wait a minute, Mary, can you step in so Logan doesn't have to do this? Cody, can you pick up the slack? Mary, you take 2 days a week. Cody, can you take 2 days a week? And Janelle, sit your behind at home and cook something for your kids in the morning and get your kids ready for school. And you take a day out of the week. You're a mom. You had all these kids. You don't get to just leave the kids off with everybody else and you don't have nothing to do with it because you don't like domestic duties. Nobody really loves it. Very few people love it. We do it because it's necessary. And that just bothers me so much watching this, y'all. Looking back on how she was handling this, I'm just like, Janelle really thought that you could just go chase this career. You can do that when you're with one husband, and that one husband is able to dedicate himself fully to the home. So it was almost like Christine and Janelle were a married couple, right? When you look at it, it was like Christine was Janelle's wife. That's what it really looks like when you're looking back on this. How much Christine was doing for Janelle is crazy when you think about it. I'm thankful because at least the kids got to experience this and these kids had the opportunity to have that support. But because I don't know what would happen with Janelle's kids if they did not have Christine. Looking back at it now, I feel like she really was the one giving the loving and the nurturing that was needed. And not to say that Janelle wasn't loving, because you could see her give hugs every now and again, but it was nowhere near what Christine was able to give those kids. So, kudos to Christine, but also I wish Christine would have called Janelle out and been like, Janelle, girl, you need to come home. You need to come get your kids. This is crazy. So yeah, that kind of just stood out to me. And then we also talk about the fertility issues with Mary, right? And so she basically says at some point she was not okay with her having these fertility issues. And in this episode, she's saying, well, now I guess I'm okay with it. And I think we can all see she never really was okay with it. But I think she just knew that Cody had basically reached his limit. And so she just said, okay, fine. And then once Robin started having kids, I think it just got pushed further and further away for her as an option. And I know for her, she knew if Robin had a kid for her, Cody would not respect her the same. I don't care what anybody says. If Robin would have had that kid, Mary would not have been looked at as someone that's made the sacrifice of giving Cody more children. It would have put Robin on even a larger pedestal than he already had her. And he would have looked at her as someone that gave him 3 more children. He would not have looked at it as Mary giving him one. And I think we all know that. So I think that's really why she didn't have I think if it was in any other situation, she might have been okay with having a surrogate, but she knew this isn't going to make our relationship work. And I think too, Mary saw how he kind of ditched Christine when normally remember guys, he would stay around and stick with the mom and help take care of the kid. He didn't do that with Christine this time. And I think even Mary recognized that, this man is all about Robin, to the point where Christine just had a baby and he is not even investing in Christine the way he's supposed to. It's just interesting. And I think that's also too where Christine was like, this guy. So anyway, they're also still wearing garments in this episode. So they're wearing, I know in the Mormon religion, they wear the garments underneath, and they're wearing garments. So you can tell that they still are really following a lot of the religion. They may be kind of pulling away from the church they were in, but not necessarily the beliefs of it, right? So you can see that they're still very much connected to that and really practicing modesty. As we see with our girl, Christine, now, baby, she threw all that out the window. She is bringing her whole sexy back with her wedding dress and everything else. I said, and when they had that, you guys know when she had the black dress on, there's no way if she was any way practicing the religion that she would have on a dress like that. So you can tell Christine is over it. She doesn't want anything to do with it. Now I'm also looking at I do miss like when they're showing them all outside working together. I really love these parts of the show. I think this is what made me really fall in love with the show at the beginning. The kids were just so adorable, and just seeing them kind of work together in this big family, I think it's just something that was really endearing and sweet about it. And even the wives, even though they might have had their struggles, I feel like at this point they still got along well enough to where they could be friends at least. And I just think the issues with Robin just made everything worse. You know, any type of issues that they had, it was just making everything worse, putting everybody on edge. And man, it's just sad to see this family look like this at one point, and then seeing this family now. It's like, geez, y'all. Also, these kids should have been getting paid then, because they were definitely the best entertainment of this show. So then they end up talking about how everybody came together, right? And then Cody basically calls out, and he says that Mary was the bait to get Janelle and Christine. Question for you guys, at least question for Cody. If Mary was the bait, then how was Christine and Janelle begging to get into the family? If you needed bait, you don't have to bait a beggar. So that's just eliminated everything that he's talked about with them begging to be in the. They did never beg to be in the family, bro. You knew how this situation works. You know that your woman had to connect with these women. They had to maybe at least say, hey, I might be interested in joining your family. I'd like to get to know you guys. You knew how this process worked. The problem was when you decided to get with Robin, you didn't go about the process the same. You decided, you know what, I'm actually going to date this woman on my own, right? Solo date this woman. I'm going to be literally out of town dating this woman, and I'm basically going to fall in love with her. Like you're dating as an adult. You basically had a full-on affair is what it was an affair. And we're seeing that, and this is where actually, you guys, he's going to go to see Robin out of town. We all are saying, I don't care. I think this man was staying over there at at Robin's house, and I think they were intimate prior to marriage. And I don't care what anybody says. Just the way she was looking, the whole goo goo gaga. It felt like this episode felt like they had almost like just done something like that, and they were just like this at that point, like when somebody like loses their V card or something. That's kind of how they were acting, and almost like forbidden, like they had this secret between each other. It really gave that energy. And this is where Robin also says that Cody is her soulmate and she's in love with him. We had not heard the word soulmate come out of anybody's mouth, and now hearing Cody actually acknowledge the fact that Robin is his soulmate, we all see now, okay, this man had a whole affair and fell in love with his mistress. That's pretty much what happened, y'all. And it's almost like one of those situations where if your wife were to let you keep the mistress, and then you get to a certain point where you're like, I don't want her to be my mistress anymore. I want her to be my wife. So how do I get out of this other situation? I mean, my wife let me bring her in as long as we stayed married. How do I get out of this? Because I don't want to pretend I love these women that I don't when I'm in love with my mistress. So now basically we're seeing, you guys, that this man found a way to manipulate the situation. Number one, with Robin's kids, making it seem as though it's a threat to these children, which he knew would make Mary feel bad. So of course, Mary granted him a divorce. So he was able to then legally marry Robin, which means all of his finances and everything was now tied into Robin. And now he was able to basically start alienating these women one at a time emotionally. Janelle was the one that hung on the longest, and I think he thought he could just keep Janelle around for the financial purposes because she didn't really need as much. And then even eventually Janelle decided, this little bit you're giving me is no longer going to work. But he basically starved them out, so to speak, to get rid of them. What a cruel thing to do to women. To anybody. You wouldn't do that to an animal. Why would you do that to women that you had been married to for decades, that gave you children, that gave you a legacy? It's just, when you think about how this man went about getting rid of his wife so he could marry his mistress, and for Robin to be sitting around acting like she didn't know when she has no clue. The mistress always knows. She knew she was a mistress, y'all. I don't care what she says. She knew she was a mistress. This is also too in this episode, it's kind of convenient that Christine says she doesn't like her boat rocked, right? And she says she'd have to be amazing. Otherwise it could be difficult. Excuse me. As we see, it was very difficult. She was amazing, all right, but only amazing to him, not to the sister wives. And Christine also talks about in this episode how, like, she's known that when someone would come into the family and then, like, rip the family apart because they were about the man and not about the family. And you now can see clear as glass that all the other women were really about the family, about building the family. But that's always going to come at the expense of the husband, because he'll never be able to be your number one focus when the family is the focus, right? And the relationships between the other wives is also a focus. Robin really came in with Cody as the focus. The family was not. I don't care what she says. This is, I think, for the first time in a long time where he was basically put as the first focus. And because he had not had that, and because he's a narcissist, it fed every need that this man had. She did exactly what needed to be done to get this man completely on her side and make him fall in love with her. So, wow, you guys, this episode, it was very eye-opening to watch it back. Parts make me happy, parts make me sad watching it, because I was like, damn, y'all, like, this family is really done. And I'm also thinking, like, how many more, not episodes, but how many more seasons can we really get before they're just going to go ahead and give us a spinoff at this point? Because I don't know how many more seasons we can do this, sitting on the couch talking bad about each other and talking about all the past hurts. And I'm wondering, like, there's no way, please do not tell me that they're going to give Mary an entire season of seeing her leave. I cannot do it, y'all. I could not. But anyway, hey, this is it. We did our first episode of season 1. Let me know if you guys are liking doing this rewatch. I'm loving watching it. I'm going to start just pushing out at least an episode a week. Depending on how I'm going, I might do more. I think once this season 18 is over, I'm going to start doing 2 episodes of the rewatch a week, but I'm going to start off with at least doing one. So you'll get at least 2 videos a week, and they're pretty decently long ones. So turn them on like a podcast if you're busy and you don't have time to actually sit down and watch me. Turn it on like a podcast. That's great for that. But anyways, we're done here. I will see you guys next week on the tube. Have a good weekend. Hit the like button, share, subscribe. You know what to do. Bye, Red Lips to the Club.